Folks, let's just bear with us a few minutes as we will be getting started. Just thank you for your patience.
Yeah. You want to share your screen?
I don't want to share the screen.
You don't want to yet? Okay, all right. See if they can hear you now.
I mean, I don't want to share my video.
Well, if you don't want to share your video, you can turn off your the video part. Stop video. Okay, so that's your picture. So your microphone should be on. Go ahead, ask them if they can hear you.
Keynote's on. Let me see. Start sharing.
Yeah, stop sharing.
Here's the keynote.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the buttons.
Okay. I'm going to hit escape again, okay? Now, I really want to squeeze your screen, but let's go to view. That's not going to work. Okay. Let's see, hang on. Calm down. There was the
Try put it now.
Yeah.
Well,
Let me hit here real quick. Oh,
that's-
oh, snap. Now you need F5 to get your full screen.
I rose this morning in the right mind. Brand new mercy came right on time. Lay me right down.
Apologize for the difficulty. We're having a look. Pardon me. Can I share his screen? No, no, yeah, I am. I'm the host. Okay, so it's not sharing. Okay. Mm-mm.
Oh, I know why. Miss Bell said, I know why. He said, go ahead and start from the beginning of the show. Start. Forget about the video song.
There's other videos.
I told her that, but I told her that start. Start. Then he played it. I'm ready to go live.
Can you see this now? He's got to skip all videos. He skip all the videos. Skip all the videos. That's a good. He's got to skip all
It'll take- Okay, yeah, you can go live. We're not gonna be able to hook it into the system. No, we're not gonna use it. We're not gonna use it.
Mr. Davis, please see my my text message.
Okay. Okay. I actually need to check one other thing. I need to check that sound out. See, it's hooked up. Sound out. Internal speakers. Okay. We'll go that way. Are they starting?
Yeah, she just started streaming live. Are you gonna get started?
Yeah, we'll start.
Okay.
We start. Let's see if this works.
Camille? Please unmute and start with the housekeeping slide.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Every.Black Mastermind Meeting. My name is Camille Richardson, and I am the MC for the evening. I'm going to start off first with a little bit of housekeeping. I first want to let you know that the meeting is being broadcast on Facebook Live, so we strongly encourage you to go to your page and share with your social media followers. Please stay on mute unless you have a question or a comment. And when you do have a question or comment, please raise your hand. And if possible, please state who you are and where you're located so that we will know who you are and where you are. So I'm going to go over the agenda. The program includes the following. We're first going to start off with the Every.Black introductory video. After that, I'll share the mission of Every.Black and the benefits of a mastermind meeting. Then Ms. Deborah Wright will lead us through the reading of the book, followed by a short discussion. Then Kim Davy-Smith will give our announcements. And then Miss Olivia Robinson will offer us an encouraging Bible verse. Miss Chastity Jones will introduce our speaker. And after our speaker is done, we will have some networking time. So everyone will get a chance to know someone. And then we'll close out the evening with a prayer. So now we're going to go ahead and get into our Every.Black introductory video.
I think we just got to share the sound.
Or
Kim or Camille, we need to share the sound.
Yeah. Somebody's gonna have to let me know when the video's done.
Camille, can you please follow and go into the mission at this time, our mission?
Sure, certainly.
Thank you.
All right. So our mission, the mission of Every.Black, is to assist, educate, and inspire people to create wealth through entrepreneurship by leveraging technology and a strategy of global networking. And how do we do that, you ask? Well, we do that through the Every.Black membership. And if you have an Every.Black membership, then you are featured in our directory. We also market our members through social media marketing and email blast. Another way we educate people about entrepreneurship is through the many podcasts that are found on the Every.Black Entrepreneurship Podcast Network. The best way is right here every Monday evening at the Every.Black Mastermind Meetings. So what are the benefits of attending a mastermind meeting? Well, I'm so glad you asked me that as well. You can discover solutions to ideas through brainstorming, tap into the experience and skills of others, increase your confidence in the decisions you make, be accountable for real progress in your business, obtain an instant and valuable network, develop a sense of family because you are not alone, innovate from new ideas, and last but certainly not least, boost your everyday mental positive attitude, which is something that is so very necessary on the journey of entrepreneurship. As I stated earlier, our mission is twofold. We network with like-minded people, and we also read positive books. So now I'm going to turn the floor over to Ms. Deborah Wright, who's going to lead us through the reading of our book for the evening, followed by a short discussion. So Ms. Deborah Wright, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Camille. Good evening, Every.Black family, and good evening, Tulsa. I am Deborah Wright, again in Raleigh, Wake Forest, North Carolina, and I will be reading our series, or reading from our series tonight. I'll be reading from the book Think and Grow Rich, The Black Choice by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough and Napoleon Hill. And at our last few sessions, we've been talking about and hearing about some of the achievers that are part of our history. We've learned about Madam Walker and Alonzo Herndon, who were the last two people that we heard about. And then during our readings, we have been talking about the concept of ideas and imagination. So we will resume our reading tonight from the book, and we will be starting with the session entitled, You Will Never Know Unless. Notice that the achievers above did not have success handed to them. At first, the world was not particularly kind to Madam Walker or Alonzo Herndon, and yet, refusing to blame life for any shortcomings, each managed to carve out a successful career from the materials that life provided. The world was made better because they dreamed and translated their dreams into reality. Life never leaves you stranded. If life hands you a problem, it also hands you the ability to overcome that problem. Are you ever tempted to blame the world for your failures or shortcomings? If so, I suggest you pause and reconsider. Does the problem lie with the world or with you? Dare to dream. You will never know what your capacity for achievement is until you learn how to mix your efforts with imagination. The product of your hands minus imagination will yield you but a small return. But those same hands, when properly guided by imagination, can be made to earn you all the material wealth you can handle. Ideas are the most important things on earth. How many ideas or possibilities can you think of? How many ideas would surface if you would devote a few minutes each day to creative thinking? When you truly discover that success in all areas of life starts simply by employing the creative process that lies within, you can grasp a life of vast wealth. Research has shown that your ability to bring into action the deeper area of the mind will determine your level of success. Napoleon Hill makes another profound observation. He wrote, "From the time of Socrates, the founder of ethical science, to the inventive Edison, Ford, and George Washington Carver, this little understood area of mental activity has delivered the insight and know-how for almost every great achievement that makes possible and sustains modern civilization as we know it."
Thank you, Camille, for the book reading. Just wondering if anybody has any questions or like to unmute themselves and ask a question about the book reading. I think it's amazing, Deborah, for what you just read. And I just wondered if anybody wanted to make any comments at this time. Don't be shy. Deborah?
Yes.
Yeah, could you basically go through the in summary? I'm not sure if people weren't able to hear
I'm not
or
sure either. I think I got disconnected, but sure.
okay.
But we were able to hear, and you did a great job.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So I'm going to turn it back over to the host at this time.
Okay. So I just want to thank everybody for being here today, and we're going to go through some announcements at this time. And I first want to talk about the Inspirational Book Club. It's actually we join the first Saturday of every month. So the next meeting will be June the 5th. Is our member, Dr. William Porter. It's the first Saturday of each month. Again, the next book reading will be June the 5th of 2021 at 6 p.m. And also, too, we have our member regarding our planner, Mrs. Partners in Planning. You want to check her out if you're in need of planning services, Carla Matthews, and she's a very good planner, and we're actually using her as we plan our next gala event in 2022. And of course, Miss Addie Banks, you've got Better Know Your Black History podcast by Addie Banks. I encourage everybody to take a look at it, subscribe at the information below, and please let anyone that would like any of this information after the call would be willing to put it, provide it to you. But you can email or subscribe to her podcast, Black History. She has actually, she has a little thing says if you know anything about Black history, if all you know about Black history is slavery and Jim Crow, you don't know Black history. So I really recommend that you check her out. You'll learn some interesting information. She knows a lot, can inspire you and know what has happened in our Black history. Of course, we want to not forget about Jean Philippe. He is our expert on crypto, decrypting crypto. He has his own podcast, and he also has training that he does every week. So he's very knowledgeable about cryptocurrency. And I know that's the latest thing, but you really always should check out an expert. He is an expert in the industry and actually here with us today, and a member of Every.Black. Then also too, don't forget about Stan Anderson's Motivation Readers Mastermind Network, every Tuesday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Highly recommend that you check them out. Start your day off with a positive mental attitude. It really goes a long way. When you start your day off, you can get so much accomplished when you got that positive attitude starting your day. It really makes a great impact, and they actually go a little longer. Sometimes it's over the 30 minutes. Sometimes it's from 8:30 to 9 o'clock that they go into. So I really strongly recommend that you check them out. The Zoom ID and passcode is in the slide. Also, too, you want to be definitely encouraged by Our Black Truth, a new social media network out there. It is Our Black Truth. If you haven't jumped on, check it out. I know they did, I believe, launch at the Tulsa Massacre 1921 event this weekend or this week. But actually, it's an interesting social media and it's Black owned. OurBlackTruth.com. Go there and check it out and join. In our next slide. Okay. And also, this is also a new company, a new Black company. It's a ticketing solutions for events, and we suggest that you check it out. The information for the email is in there as well. It is an event. It says Explore, Discover, Eventor. It's the latest in innovative events. And also, too, we want to always recognize OTC Beauty Magazine. We want to also recognize there's some members in this beauty magazine. We've got Mickey Wright, that's one of actually our guest speaker this evening. We've got Tim too, we call her or Tim, and also looks like there's Belinda in that in this edition of the OTC magazine. So strongly recommend that you do, authored by Mr. Lafayette Jones. And there's their pictures, Miss Sandra Miller Jones and Mr. Lafayette Jones, great folks, members of Every.Black, as well as our mentors. They offer a lot of information. We just love his storytelling time, and also going to be our guest speaker this evening. So we're really fortunate to have him in the Every.Black family of entrepreneurs. And of course, a little bit about Every.Black. Remember, Every.Black is the new .com, and we got to remember that. Just go to www.every.black, do our search. We search feature where we're able to promote our members on our website. It is a great tool. I ask everybody to go there and check it out, check us out. But it is, we have a downloadable directory as well that is very easy to find our members and to actually find a member looking for, if you're looking for a specific expertise or specific industry. I highly recommend that you go to our website, explore our members, and check us out and see if you can find somebody that you would need to actually reach out to. Maybe you have needs or services that you'd like to looking for service from one of our members. And then also too, we want to not forget about the Every.Black new membership orientation that we conduct every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. And this is a time that's actually open to the general public. And we also use this time to help our members understand and make sure that they understand their benefits and take advantage of their benefits. It's just always something that we do every Friday. We also too want to encourage everybody to know that Every.Black promotes our members on social media, on our social media platforms, in our email blast, in any way that we can let the world know what our members are doing as entrepreneurs. Again, on social media, on the email blast is just as well, Facebook. And then also too, we offer technology training. This is so very important and key to being productive and being getting your business to the next level. Technology is a big thing in what we do. We offer our members technology training where we just get together at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every Friday, and we go over whether it's a new software or it's a new app or whatever. We get online. Some of it, we go through it for the first time. It is interactive training, and we guarantee that we learn things as we go. Bit by bit, we're learning technology and learning how to apply it in our businesses. Another great feature of Every.Black. And also too, don't forget about the study hall. Wow, this is one of those ones that, we started back in actually 2020, been very successful, where you can get online at 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday, where you can just work on your business. We get online together. We go on mute after the first 5 minutes. You're amazing how productive you can be and how much you can get done between the hours of 6 and 9 before the phone starts ringing and the emails start flying at you. So just know that we're there. If you want to get something done and get some productive time, try us out. Then also too, we do a 6-hour book read-in, and this is very, very key. If you really, really serious about becoming a leader, you have to read. We do this every third Saturday of the month. We choose a book, and our book for this coming month is Becoming a Leader. Or if there's a book that you've started that you haven't finished, this is the time to do it. So you always want to use your time to read. So we offer a 6-hour read-in every third Saturday of every month. And don't want to forget about the podcast, the Every.Black Entrepreneur Podcast Network, where we have our podcast, our members that do their podcast, talking about their expertise in their industry. And we just encourage everybody to go to the Every.Black Entrepreneur Podcast and check us out, because there's some amazing podcasters doing amazing things. And we just encourage you to check us out on the Every.Black podcast. And also, too, we want to encourage everybody to continue to be at our mastermind meetings. This particular mastermind meeting is being held live from Tulsa, but you know what? We hold this every single Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For this one, it is a 7 p.m. Central Standard Time in the area of Tulsa, Oklahoma. But we just get on the mastermind meetings every single Monday. We read from positive books. We learn tech tips. We get plenty of announcements. We have our scripture, our prayer, our guest speakers, and we network with people from around the world. And also, too, I want to encourage everybody to get on our clubhouse. Our clubhouse is one of those things that, we started a few months ago, and wow, this has been a real connecting opportunity. Every.Black is on Clubhouse. .Black is the new.com. 8 a.m. every Monday through Friday. Just know that Mondays are marketing Mondays. Let's talk about marketing your business on Monday. Let's talk about technology. Let's talk about Tech Tuesday. And on Wednesdays, we talk about wealth. We talk about ways to generate wealth. We talk about ways to use our money wisely. We talk about financial literacy. We have experts that come on and ask and actually share with information about each one of these topics. And then Thursday is Trending Social Media Thursday. And don't forget about Futuristic Friday. Where are you taking your business? What level is it going to the next level with the future? Are you looking to the future? And also, too, I want to encourage everybody to look at a couple podcasters that's doing their thing, and that would be John Felipe and, of course, Camille Richardson. And also, too, don't forget about the Dr. Joe L. Dudley Legacy Project, the podcast. The interviews are amazing. You don't want to miss this. They are amazing. So go to this podcast, subscribe, and listen to the interviews. You will definitely be inspired and understand that entrepreneurship is something, if you're willing to work hard, you can get it done. And also, too, I just want to announce tell you about our newly announced latest benefit with Every.Black. It is the Every.Black Entrepreneur TV Network. .Black is the new.com. It's featured on the Roku channel, internet television. We hope to be up and running the next few days. Yes, the next few days. So excited about the internet channel that we're going to have shortly, coming soon. And also, too, just wanted to just kind of go over what our programming is. Today, we've got two amazing speakers. Going to talk about the history of beauty care. Today's date, it is Memorial Day, live from Tulsa. Again, we're live from Tulsa. So we're going to get started. And then also, too, the next week, we're going to talk about financial literacy. And then we got a team of young entrepreneurs going to come on the 14th, children actually in a school. Then we've got Jimmy going to wrap it up on the last week of our series, which is June the 21st. He's going to talk about technology in business every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Time or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And at this time, we're going to go forth and let Miss Addie give a little information about some Black history that she's researched. So we're glad to have her part of the program. Okay. Okay, this time I'll go ahead and read the scripture. Looks like our scripture will be coming out of Matthew chapter 13, verse 52. Look like it's out of the AMP Bible. He said to them, therefore, every teacher and interpreter of the sacred writings who has been instructed about and trained for the kingdom of heaven has become a disciple in is like a householder who brings forth out of his storehouse treasure that is new and treasure that is old, the fresh as well as the familiar.
Hello, Every.Black.
At this time, looks like it's time for our guest speakers. Okay, hold on. Jimmy has something to say, so hold on just for 1 second for me.
Greetings, Every.Black.
Well, I just wanted to stop the program for a bit and just explain what's going on. But first of all, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Sometimes things don't go as planned. Now, we're really excited and happy to be here in Tulsa to come to you live. But some of the things, as far as the technology-wise, we're trying out literally as we're moving along. We're able to get into the building literally a few hours before the meeting went on. As we tapped into the audio system in the building, it is not allowing me to share it over Zoom. So if I don't share it, then it's like every time we would tap into the system, we can't share it, bottom line. So that's why. And then the other thing is that we're all in the same building. And so we have feedback. So we have Kim in one room and I'm in another room and I'm sharing what you see, where Kim's trying to fill in and she's tiptoeing around everything, trying to do it right, but she's doing a great job. So what we're gonna do, we have some great videos to share with you, but because of the incompatibility or with what we have and what the system is set up here, we're not able to show you the videos. We had a great intro song to share with you. We have the story of Every.Black and how it got started. We share with you. Addie Banks did a great job, and we're going to be sharing, if not tonight, we will definitely be sharing it in weeks to come to share with you. So anyway, a number of things like that. The videos, we're not going to be able to share tonight. So, and even some of the pre-recorded messages and things we can't share, right? But we don't stop. And we're not going to focus on what we can't do. We're going to focus on what we can do. And we still can bring to you Lafayette Jones. And we still can bring to you Mickey Wright. And we even had a great presentation or a great recording of all their accomplishments. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm just going to talk from my heart. Mickey Wright, first of all, I want to talk about her a little bit. We had the pleasure to meet her through the Joe Dudley Legacy Project. And I can't say it enough. She is so down to earth, so humble. Yes, she is so successful. You would never think, if you meet her, she just seems like an ordinary person, but she carries a lot of weight in the beauty industry. One of the things we're looking at the Joe Dudley Legacy Project is looking for volunteers to help us with this project. And she stepped up right away, joined the podcast, is finding other celebrity hairstylists to give testimonials for the Joe Dudley Legacy Project, and just so easy and delightful to work with. And so she's going to be one of our speakers tonight. The other speaker we have is Mr. Lafayette Jones, who we've gotten to know over the last several years very well. And these mastermind meetings, but maybe not this one tonight, but our other mastermind meetings are so much better because of his input, not just the mastermind meetings, but just all of the wisdom that he shared with us, that he's learned over the years. Things that whether you implement them or not, it makes you think. And I can't help but to think that Every.Black is so much better because Lafayette Jones has been our mentor to myself and my sister Kim. And so we just want to thank you. And his resume is too long to read in one night. I'm telling you, he's done it all. He knows them all. He says he's been in the right place. He has the luck to have been in the right place at the right time in his entire life. And I believe that Every.Black is also a part of that. So I just want to give a personal introduction to both of these people, Ms. Mickey Wright and Mr. Lafayette Jones. And I'm going to turn it over to them, and we're going to highlight them and let them give their presentation that they've prepared for you tonight. Thank you. Okay.
Hello, hello. Is it time for me? And Mr. Jones, are you ready?
I'm here. I was just waiting to see if they were going to put up the DEXI announcements, but if not, we can go ahead. Ms. Davies will let us know if you're going to play those or not. If not, we'll go straight ahead. Tell us what you like.
Yes, I'm spotlighting you now. Let me just get Mickey on, and then we can get started. Uh-oh. There we go. Got you both now. So we're gonna give the floor to Mrs. Mickey Wright and Mr. Lafayette Jones, and they're gonna give us some information and some things about the history of the beauty care and Black beauty care, and we're gonna let you have the floor at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Wright, may I say a few words before you start?
Absolutely.
Hello, everybody. We are so glad to be with you in respective places. We have Every.Black members from Africa, West Africa, South Africa, Chicago, LA, New York, Austin, Texas, Denver, Houston, Dallas, Texas. We need everyone to go on mute, please. Let's see who that is. We will ask them to go on mute so they can hear us with no problem. There's a telephone. There are two people. Area code 1919, please go on mute, or if central office will put them on mute. The good news is that we're here tonight to share something that Mickey Wright and I know a great deal about. But first, let me say thank you to Mr. Davies and Ms. Kim Smith, who have hardworking people. They've taken a delegation of almost 30 plus people to Tulsa to be there for the memorial of a very bad thing that happened in our country. But it highlights and spotlights the fact that this is occurring in many cities all over America, that most of our cities have a Black Wall Street where our businesses were decimated and so forth. But I can tell you this, that the Black beauty business has been here since the beginning, and it is here now. We've been beautiful before Cleopatra. We've had hair and skin and everything else, and products are being made. So in every part of the US, there are African Americans nowadays online, lots of Black women with $5 and $10 million companies. The big overview in the category is that the category is about 8 billion in size, not nickels and dimes, dollars. There are about 125 to 150,000 Black cosmetologists, estheticians, hairstylists, and you can name it. Just like churches are a big part of who we are, every Black community has a church. Well, I can tell you this, that every Black community has lots and lots of Black beauty salons and barbershops and you name it that's related to the beauty business. And it is, in fact, the largest business of African-American women in America. Thousands of Black women, including members of my family. I can tell you that most people who are listening to this broadcast tonight, who are African-Americans, and not just African-Americans, someone in their family is a minister, a teacher, or a member of the beauty profession. And that's a barbershop, so forth. So I want to give you a little overview of what we're talking about. I discovered just yesterday that there is an African-American barbershop from the Cox family in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the group is broadcasting from. That was the center of the civil rights movement. There was a man and a woman named Donnie Cannon and Chapman Cannon who were from the Greenwood area, and they were members of the American Health and Beauty Aids Institute and had a very successful company. As a matter of fact, they were one of the first companies that ever promote giving away a free Rolls Royce to their distributors and others. But enough said on that. We'll come back. Miss Wright, who I'm just delighted to be on this show with. She is an amazing, low-key, smart, licensed professional who now has a show called Beauty Stars. Miss Wright, take it away.
Well, thank you so much, Lafayette. Thanks for that introduction. And thanks, Jimmy Davies, for having us here, and Kim Davies-Smith for doing such a phenomenal job, the both of you, with putting this all together. So hello, everyone, and hello, Tulsa. We're excited to be part of this historic evening and a historic event. And I just want to ask, how many of you guys remember, sitting on the floor, getting your hair braided by your mom or dad, probably your mom, and that experience is just about bonding. And for the guys, going to the barbershop, as a young kid, and just all the hoopla that goes on with it. And it's actually been said that a little powder and a little paint makes a woman think she is what she ain't. But actually, this industry, like Mr. Jones was saying, is much more and much bigger than just, lipstick and powder. And so I wanted to share a little bit about it. It's really about bonding. It's really about community. And it's really about economic independence. It's been a source since before slavery for economic independence for Black entrepreneurs in all facets of the beauty industry. It really was Black people who were doing the hair services, nail services, barber services. All of those things typically were born out of slavery. There's a gentleman named Pierre Toussaint, and I was introduced to him, his legacy, I guess you could say, by Mr. Floyd Kenyatta, who's a mentor of mine. And Pierre Toussaint, a lot of us have known, have heard about Madam C.J. Walker, and her becoming one of the first millionaires, either the first or second, with Annie Turnbull Malone. And not to take anything from those people, because they are, definitely have done so much for, Black people, Black entrepreneurs, and especially the beauty industry. And, having an argument over who was the first Black millionaire is a pretty good argument to have. So whether you were first or second. So, but Pierre Toussaint was born about 100 years before Madam C.J. Walker. And we, let's see, he was born a slave in Haiti. He was moved to this country with his family as a slave. And I'm going to refer to my notes because there's different dates. So he was born in 1766. So kind of get a context for this was definitely during slavery in the United States. He was brought over as a slave, and shortly thereafter, he was permitted to train as a hairstylist and to actually earn his own money, which is unusual, definitely. And in addition, he was actually allowed to learn to read and write, which was phenomenal during that time. It was pretty much unheard of. He actually went on to be one of the most requested hairdressers with New York's wealthiest white families. And it was, the custom in that day that they would travel from house to house and kind of mansion from mansion. And he created all of these great relationships. He styled their hair, but created, a caring personality with them. And he spoke with his clients about God because his Catholic faith was so strong and so much a part of him. But he actually took over. His master died. They had lost their fortune prior to that. And he took care of his master's widow, as well as his sister and other slaves that were there. And just prior to the widow's death, she freed them, he and his sister. So they were now free Black people in the US, and working as a hairstylist, going all over, serving the wealthiest white families in New York. And in 4 years later, he actually purchased the freedom of the person that would become his wife, as well as some other slaves along the way. I think this is like such a mini series right here. But he was a very charitable man, and he actually donated money to help finance the original St. Patrick's Cathedral. So any of you guys who've ever been to New York, St. Patrick's Cathedral is definitely a huge landmark there. But once it was built, he put money in. Once it was built, he went by there, to go to the grand opening, and he was turned away because he was Black. And it was fortunate that someone who knew that he was one of the contributors said, "Oh no, come on in," and just put him in a seat, where he belonged. And so he and his wife actually were founders of the first New York Catholic school for Black children. And he trained a lot of others to be hairstylists and barbers. He's actually the only layperson who is buried in New York City, their Fifth Avenue St. Patrick Cathedral, with cardinals and archbishops. So in 1996, this is fairly recently, he was declared a venerable and maybe moved on to sainthood. Tell me that's not an interesting life. So I appreciate Floyd for telling me about him, but I think when we think economics, that we don't always think how far back it goes. And when we think this industry, we don't always think how far back it goes. And to know that legacy and that level of excellence existed way back then, and allowed a Black person to not only be a free Black person, but to actually earn enough to be able to free other slaves is really quite powerful. So I want to just kind of shift gears, but there's so much more to tell, just with the economics, with the bonding, with the community. And there's even more, with chemistry and marketing and all of the things that beauty touches. So when you are getting ready to getting your hair ready, getting your face ready and everything tomorrow, think about the impact of the beauty industry and how long and how rich the history is. Lafayette?
Yes, let me build on that.
Sure.
I must tell you, every day that I live, I learned something about the beauty business that I didn't know. And I'll be 80 soon. And I've been in the beauty business for 60 plus years. What you told me about this gentleman is so huge. As a matter of fact, there is a woman from Cuba whose name is Celia Cruz. She was a great singer, and Ruth Sanchez, who lives in New York now, and who was her cosmetologist for all the flamboyant wigs and things that she wore, Celia Cruz was buried in the cathedral that you're talking about. So being the cathedral is a big piece of business. When I think of Black entrepreneurs, and the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who keeps their expenses below their income. That's the pure definition of a entrepreneur. I say it tongue in cheek, but it's really true. Also, entrepreneurs are people who made a payroll or so, including their own. That makes you a real entrepreneur. And the more of those payrolls you make, the more of an entrepreneur you are. There are lots of entrepreneurs on this call. One of the principles of most successful or even small businesses, these businesses run in families. Families come in terms of entrepreneurs. Let me give you some example. Joe Dudley Jr. and Eunice Dudley, who are founders of the Dudley products run by one of their daughters now, Ursula Dudley, and they have another daughter running another spa business, and they have a son, another part of the business. Greatness runs in families. Mr. Johnson, I was a vice president of several companies John Ace Johnson, Ebony, Jet, Fashion Fair was my mentor. And he used to say several things. He would always call me son. I was a full-grown man. He still called me son, but I got used to it. He would say that if one African-American sees another African-American do it, then they think they can do it too. And he was right. If you look at the Dudley family, Mickey Wright is a disciple and outgrowth of that family. If you look at the Bronner, and they're in North Carolina, if you look at the Bronner family, Nathaniel H. Bronner in Atlanta, the Bronner Brothers show is getting ready to celebrate its 60th year with almost 100,000 people. They're the largest beauty show in the world. When that company was growing, Mr. Bronner used to have one of his young sons carry his golf cart around. And he couldn't be any more than 15 or 16. And I say, Mr. Bronner, why is he here? And he said, because he's going to be the next CEO. Sure enough, that was true. So birds of a feather flock together. You look at the McBride family in Atlanta. My friend Cornell McBride created Stay Soft Fro. And he built that company, and his partner, Mackenzie, and they're pharmacists. They know about mixing and things. And another issue, the opportunity there is, if you're a pharmacist, you probably could mix some product together and you know a little bit about chemicals and you got some certification, and so you understand what you're doing. Well, they mix some petrolatum together, that's grease, y'all. And he used to mix it in his living room, a grease and water and a humectant. A humectant is something that attracts moisture to the hair. And in those days when this product was introduced, of course, I had a natural that was out 4 inches beyond my ears with Prince bell-bottoms on, the purple ones with the platform shoes. It was a day. Well, our naturals, because of the curl pattern in Black hair, would break. It's still a problem for African-American women, is that we have breakage because of the molecular structure of our hair. I'm not a cosmetologist. I've just been around a long time and I heard a lot about this. And he created a product that attracted moisture to the air. And in a 3-year period, $10 million came in the door, cold, hard cash. When you look at the Johnson Products Company, George Johnson, one of the nicest men you ever met, whose net worth, when I met him, he was worth $50 million net. Didn't owe anybody any money. And he was the first brother I met with a telephone in his car. I thought that was terrific as he drove his Rolls Royce in under the building. He used to always say to us, we reach for the stars because he might fall on the mountaintop. He surely did in his life, because he was a gentleman who was washing cars and working as an assistant in a laboratory, which he eventually bought, and all the people came through there. There's another guy whose name is S.B. Fuller. S.B. Fuller is a progenitor of George Johnson, John Ace Johnson, and just a host of other people. And there's a book that you may have seen or read. He tells his story. His story is told by his youngest daughter. Most of these men had a book, by the way, and they were women, by the way. Don't get me wrong. The gentlemen were smart people, but they were all backed by really smart women who, in fact, and they'll shit me when I say this, but it's true, they ran the businesses. They're the ones that made sure that the things got done the way they're supposed to get done. Not that brothers didn't know how to do it, but brothers need some help. And these women were there to help them do that. Mrs. Robbie Bronner, Bronner Products, Ms. Dudley, as Dudley Products, Ms. Johnson, Joan Johnson, who died recently, for George Johnson. Birds of a feather flock together as a principle. And so you can go even to Dallas, Texas, where the Cottrell brothers work together. Either it's brothers and sisters and brothers and mothers and father. they say the family that prays together, sticks together, stays together. Well, if they work together and make money, they like it. Cornell McBride's family, his wife Harriet and his sons now and daughter now run the company. By the way, it seems like the inheritors of the business that were, if you will, started by the fathers are run by the daughters now. Quite interesting. I know it's a true fact. There are other family businesses. I mentioned one of those to you was Chappie Cannon and Donnie Cannon and their daughter in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, so this occurred in many, many places. And I want to say that also the cosmetology business goes back a long ways that we can trace. The National Beauty Culturals League, founded in 1919, is now run by a friend of mine. I'm friends with everybody, by the way, so, and I know them for a long time. They know me for a long time, and that makes it fun. Is run by Dr. Katie B. Catlon. That group is reported to have 8,000 members in 20 chapters across the US, including Germany, Japan, Taiwan, all those places, Germany, Japan, Taiwan. That's where Black soldiers are. 20% of the US Army is Black in the armed forces. They all got curly hair. They all need product. So as a result, these businesses grew beyond your wildest dream. Most recently, my wife, Sandy Miller Jones, who's one of my heroes, because she's not only my life partner and friend and business partner for 40 years, because she has in fact been the backbone of our businesses. We are publishers now, creating a product called Urban Call, publishing vehicle. We've organized 40,000 beauty salons and about 10,000 Black churches and other networks throughout the US. But that's the big overview. Birds of a feather flock together. More than likely, women are the backbone. And it doesn't have to be just in the beauty business. I have a friend in this town whose name is Michael Suggs. And he's a smart guy. He's produced $60 million of business and construction in the last 20 years, but he also is the partner in a gift shop that his wife runs, and she's an advertising expert. So, brothers, if you don't have one, find you a good sister to help you go forward, and I think it'll be of great value to you. Make it your turn.
Wow, thank you so much for that history lesson. It's like definitely some amazing men and women that you mentioned there. So I wanted to, I guess I realized while you were talking, Lafayette, that I never really did my introduction because we didn't get introduced. So, so for anyone who doesn't know, my name is Mickey Wright. I am a licensed cosmetologist. I'm a salon business coach, and I'm also the host of Beauty Superstars Talk, which is a podcast where I get to interview Black beauty bosses who are doing amazing things in our industry each week. And as Lafayette mentioned several times, birds of a feather flock together. I'm second generation. One of my heroes is my mom, who's Ruby Wright. And I'll tell you a little bit about her when we talk about bonding and about community. And I also have a sister who's a fabulous hair designer in the business as well, Nishan out of Detroit. And so, so with that, it's like I grew up around the business, but not actually in it or not actually thinking that I would go into it. But once I did, as I say, fall into it, then I fell in love with it. And I, relocated to be able to start my career in the District of Columbia, the DMV as it's known now, Washington, D.C., a lot in part because of Floyd Kenyatta. So I'll share with you a little bit about my experience with him. But I started with a struggle as a hairstylist, but I went on to win, be an award-winning stylist with several different awards. But one of my first national awards was with ABBA, which is something that Mr. Lafayette Jones founded, which is the American Health and Beauty Aids Institute. They formed the Proud Lady that you used to see on the back of Black manufactured products. And I was the grand prize winner of the very first Proud Lady show. And so I'm really proud. And actually that big old trophy back there was what I got for part of what I got for winning. And I got to be on stage with all of the people that I looked up to. So that was really a dream come true. And I went on from there to be one of the first African-American owners of a full service salon and day spa in the country. And we, with that, with a fabulous team, were able to be one of the 200 fastest growing salons in the country for 3 consecutive years. There's a publication called Salon Today magazine, and they take your numbers and go through it and do the rankings. And so we had a lot of growth really quickly. And so I spend a lot of my time now helping others to be able to create their own success, to be able to further their entrepreneurial dreams as well as their beauty business dreams, because a lot of times we're so busy being artists that we forget there is a business to it. But my mom is definitely one of my heroes, and she went to cosmetology school actually when I was an infant, when I was about 6 weeks old. And she got out of it for a little while, went back, started teaching cosmetology, and then opened a salon, had people who were brand new and grew them, grew her own team from scratch. And they went on to have 3 different locations for the salons. And so she's always been a really brilliant source of information and just source of inspiration. And so after we were grown, not all that long ago, she actually decided to go back to college and finish her degree. So it's like, we're super proud of just, all of the things that she's doing, and that it's all evolved out of the beauty industry. And, with her owning her salons, with me owning my salons, it's like we gave people opportunities to create their own businesses, to own their own homes, to own commercial real estate, to send their kids to college, and to create the next generation of entrepreneurs. So it's like, I'm really so grateful for this industry. And with my mom, it's like her definitely evolution, I guess you could say, has led her to become an artist. And the image you see behind me is one of her art pieces. And there's just so much that can evolve out of the beauty industry. So I hope that I'm able to share and inspire and help someone to be able to say, wow, that's what I like to do each week. Wow, I could do that. I'm sitting there, as you mentioned, watching someone Black who's doing something that I may not have imagined for myself, or that I may have seen as maybe impossible. And so I think this business is really one of the best businesses in the world. So, Lafayette?
It is a great, great business. And the reason I say that is it's one of the few businesses where African Americans have what they call intergenerational wealth. When as Mickey talked about, her family's in the business. And when one of the leaders passes away, that wealth and that knowledge passes right on down through the family. That's true of the Dudley family, that's true of the Bronner family, that's true of the Cottrell family. It's true of so many families. I want to thank you, Mickey, for acknowledging my part of my life of founding the American Health and Beauty Aids Institute. It's called ABBA. In case you don't know what that is, we decided, Mr. Johnson, George Johnson, called me one day and said, I got a job for you, son. They all call me son, So I said, what is it? I was living in Southern California, and I had been one of his vice presidents. I'd made enough money, believe this or not, to retire for a year and a half.
What you want to do?
Which was just fabulous.
Let's go on the deck.
Excuse us, please. I think the microphone is on, Ms. Davies. So at the end of the day, I retired. I come from the corporate side of the business. I'm former Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Kraft, ConAgra. I ran Huntsman, which helped to create it. Sandwich is a sandwich, with a manwich is a meal. My friend, Mr. Orville Redenbacher, and I helped to build that business from 6 million to, in its first 2 years of national distribution, went to 100 million, if you can imagine. These are very, very large numbers. And so I came from that side of the business. Along the way, life is full of bumps and bruises. things we think we should have, things we don't get, things maybe we shouldn't have. But I've learned over the years that not only is God in the details, but really in charge. It's taken me a long time to come to that conclusion. I wasn't always had as much belief as I have now. But one of the reasons that I know how to walk on water is because I know where the rocks are, and because I have faith, confidence, and discipline. My big hero in life is my wife, Sandra Miller Jones, who called me on the phone one day in Southern California. She's in Chicago and says, I heard that you're very good at what you do. And I answered, absolutely, I'm the best. I always believed I was the best. I may not have been, but I believed it. And she invited me to come to Chicago to work, consider a job working for George Johnson. I said, listen, sweetheart, I'm living in Southern California. I got a new Mercedes. I got another convertible. I'm playing basketball every day. My life is okay. She said, I heard that you were kind of a loudmouth, so maybe you should just get on the plane and come. I went to Chicago and I met her, and she took me to see Mr. Johnson, the kindest, nicest man I ever met. You imagine a guy who's worth 50 million says, son, can I pour you a cup of coffee? Well, I never met a brother who had that much money in the first place. And I never met a man who had that much class and was a nice guy. And he took me over to the desk when he was talking to me. I have to smile. He said, son, I'm gonna give you this Bible. And I almost said to him, why are you giving me the Bible? I don't need a Bible. And I was kind of a smarty pants, but I'm not smarty pants anymore, but I was at that time. The net of it was I went to work for Mr. Johnson. I met people like Floyd Kenyatta that you talked about, Miss Wright, about James Harris, and just all kinds of people. His name was Hayden, who was a fabulous cosmetologist. Thomas Hayden is his name. And I just met so many people who were so smart, gifted with their hands, gifted with their brains. And at that time, you know, when these businesses were started, there weren't any Black MBAs, there are hardly any Black engineers. So what those people had to do was to convert people who didn't know chemistry. They had to learn chemistry. When you sell maybe 100, 200,000 units or boxes of relaxer, that has to be mixed in 15 and 20,000 pound vats. Okay, so this is not any spaghetti sauce we're making here. You mess up a battered vat, you just had to pour down the drain $50,000. So this is big time. And all those people learned to be distribution experts, salesmen, photographers, chemists. Another friend of mine, Freddie Luster. He's a guy, Mr. Luster is the only person on the planet that has a license for a color. Look it up. He trademarked pink. You've heard of his pink lotion? He created that. He was a barber. And he was doing Nat King Cole's hair. And in those days when they did the conch, as it was called, maybe you're too young to know what that is, but it changes the molecular structure of hair. I'm sure Ms. Wright can explain it. It's a relaxation process. And in those days, they didn't have the chemicals that could stop what was called a chemical action. So they threw potatoes in the bucket. And they would yell and scream when it got too hot, but they learned through error. Now you go to Chicago, his son, Jerry Luster, and his daughter, Sonia, and his son, Freddie Luster Jr. Oh, they're MBAs. They're chemists, R&D specialists. One is heavy into artificial intelligence. And their children are now working for them because they are now grandparents, like I'm about to become soon with our daughter, Dr. Bridget Jones Brooks.
Mr. Jones and Nikki, I want to just open it up, let people ask, see if there's any questions that anyone has that they would like to ask of you, and allow people to take themselves off mute here. Are there any questions that anyone has for Nikki Wright or Mr. Jones?
Well, I don't have a question, but I would like to say thank you both, Lafayette and Ms. Wright, for the wonderful presentation this evening. It was certainly enlightening. My wife and I were sitting here and we were just saying, wow. I mean, I've known Mr. Dudley for 45 years, but Lafayette, you and Ms. Wright really inspired us. And I just want to say congratulations to both of you all. And we love you all. And we appreciate all that you have done and all that you will do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind comments.
And who was that just made those comments?
The great Bill Hubbard.
And from where again?
You didn't know that was Bill Hubbard? You can tell from
Oh, I knew, but I didn't know if everyone else knew. I want to make sure everyone else knew as well. And one of our very first Every.Black members, and still going. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I also just want to thank Mr. Jones and Ms. Wright for stepping up and filling in for tonight. But any other questions or comments anyone has with them?
I have a question.
Sure thing.
How do you become a member of Every.Black?
Good question.
Very good question.
Like Miss Wright and myself, we're platinum members. So there must be a reason for that.
Yeah, the way you become a member of Every.Black is you simply go to their website and sign up. If you go to Every.Black, EVERY.BLACK, no .com, no .net, there's a join button there that you can click on and join. If that's, well, first of all, there's several.
I have a question.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Nelson Aluya. I'm actually a physician based in New Jersey, and I'm Nigerian by birth. And I'm a buff for history and just listening to what's been going on presently. I'm an assistant professor of medicine at the Rutgers University here in Newark, New Jersey. But also the president of the Nigerian American Public Affairs Committee. We create a platform for advancing the cause of, our people and Blacks all over, for advancement. So basically, this is what it is, and listening to the history of Tulsa and all it takes, and the history of the gentleman from Haiti, who crossed over and became, what he became. We live in a time where all Black people have to come together. And my hair, being an African, born, and your hair being American born, is all the same. So my question to, my brother and, older brother and sister, with regards to everything right now and all the works that you've done, are they inspirations that you took from, original contents from the continent, or if there's any reason to expand to the African continent? Right now, Africa has a population of $1.3 billion, 1.3 billion people, and that's money sitting on the ground. So how do we begin to, pull these two together so that we truly would get, financial liberation and autonomy like we really need for all Black people?
Doctor, I just can't wait to answer that question. Let me tell you a little bit why my wife and I were in South Africa, in Cape Town, Johannesburg, why we were in Accra in Ghana, and why we were in Western Africa, and why others have been in Eastern Africa. We have been, all our companies soon learned, and Cornell McBride and Mr. Johnson and others, that there were people just like you who love products made by African Americans made in the US, loved it. As a matter of fact, they liked it so good, many of our companies started production facilities in Africa, and you would find that many of the cosmetologists were sent there, also sent to Brazil, to Cuba, to South Africa, to Nigeria, to West Africa, to Abidjan, and to French-speaking Africa. So we know a lot, we got a lot to learn. We learn a lot about Africa, and in some cases, the businesses in South Africa are larger than the ones in the US. Not many people know about that. So I say, Doctor, you're on the right path. And I say also that we have more work to do. By the way, the mayor of not Cape Town, but the other city, I'm just
Johannesburg.
Pardon? In Johannesburg, Joburg. I always think it was Joburg. The mayor is a Black man who owned a hair care company called Black Like Me. Did you know that? Okay.
No, I didn't.
Did you know that Mr. Dudley was very friendly with a number of African leaders? He was so friendly with a number of African leaders that the conservative white Americans tried to ban him from his relationship involving the CIA. CIA will probably call me tonight about this conversation. But the point is that he was very much involved. He also sent a legion of cosmetologists to Bahia. You know where Bahia is? In Brazil.
I've heard about it, yes.
Okay. Now, why would he send them to Bahia? Because there's another many millions of people who live there and thereabouts who look like you and me. And so when you want to test products, you send them where the people look like you and me. Now, we also must say that in the business now, there are a number of Nigerians who own companies. They are in Dallas, they are in Houston, and they're in Chicago. Matter of fact, I lived in a building with a few princes from Nigeria, and we learned a lot. So your comment is well taken. Now, do we have more room to go? Absolutely. The biggest prize in the country, according to our research, is Nigeria, because Nigerians are in control of the country. That means they can control the foreign credits to come in. That means they can control what comes in at the dock. Okay, because if you can't get it in the country and you can't get your money out, you're not in business. So, you know, the companies have had their challenges with ownership, let us say, because of some rules. But now some of our companies are in China. You know why they're in China? Because they got a lot of people who don't look like us trying to get hair like us. They want some curly hair. Now, I know you think it's crazy, but it's not. So our people, especially our young people, I'm talking about those under 50, that's what I'm calling young right now, they're globalists, G-L-O-B, globalists. And they're selling product everywhere they got money. And on top of that, they are one of Amazon's largest customers. So, well, you know, someone once said, you know, I may not have been born, I wasn't born last night, but certainly I wasn't born yesterday, and certainly not at midnight. So one of the things you can say about these entrepreneurs, and especially the female entrepreneurs too, don't forget them now. These 20 or 30 Black-owned female companies that are doing $5 to $10 million, they don't even know who Walgreens is, or CVS, or Walmart. They're selling their products online. And so one of the things that the COVID has done is rip the scab off of inequities. One of the things that has not happened, those businesses that are doing business online are up 25, 30%. You know what it means to be up 25% and you're doing 50 million already? Count the money, okay? Now, they also, by the way, it's not all about money, don't get me wrong. A lot of this is about giving back to our communities, giving back to our children so they can be better educated. Meeting, you know, our foreign leaders. I could tell you a long list of stories of foreign leaders of major companies, major countries, not companies, whole economies that we knew on a first name basis. Talked to them on the phone. You know, everything in West Africa is 6 to 8 hours away. So you got to get up in the middle of the night to talk to these young people at 8 o'clock, you know? So we ran some interesting schedules. Now, at the same time, the general market companies have come into the business and they have had an impact. A brother from Liberia just sold his company 2 years ago from Liberia. He sold it for $800 million to Unicorn. So somebody, Mr. Davies,
we're getting some echo again. But we had one other question. And what we want to do is also allow people to interact with one another for a bit. So
well, I want to say this before you go. The brother asked the doctor a good question. Thank you for your question.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And if I can just throw out something really quick. I just want to shout out Maisie Dunbar. She's actually Liberian-born nail artist. She's one of the top nail artists in the entire country. And it's like she has business on both continents with going back to Liberia to train young women to do the types of services. And she has Fluffa Joe Cosmetics Company. And so I don't know what all the numbers are, but there is a commitment to be global and to give back. So great question. Thank you.
Well, we had one other question by a member actually here in Tulsa, Patricia Muhammad, who's also very instrumental in us being here at all. But then after that, I'm waiting for her to come into the room to ask the question. But then after that, we also want to give you an opportunity, all the people on the call, an opportunity to go into breakout rooms and just interact with one another. So here she is now. And just give a thank you to Patricia.
Thank you, Dr. Lafayette Jones.
Nice to hear you.
Yes, this is Patricia Divine Muhammad, United Black Wall Streets of America. And we do have Mr. Tim McClure here. He's representing Willie Morrow, who's doing the California Curl.
The originator.
Yeah.
He originated it, right. And so we want to thank you. But as I was listening to the history that you all were bringing and just the power of it, and we're here at Black Wall Street, and we're planning for next year. And I said, you know what? We need to have hair shows. We need to have fashion shows, bring back all of that. So I'm just here to ask you the question, will you all plan for next year to have some major hair shows and fashion shows and bring your history here to Black Wall Street? I know the people would appreciate. You all are just walking legends because I only, when I was young, I would only buy when I saw the Proud Lady.
I created, I love it. I just love it.
And the impact that they had on me just as a child. And I would scold other people who would not buy if they saw, I said, that's not the Proud Lady. So in rebuilding Black Wall Street, I think we need to start where we are. You know, I'm just a product of the teaching of Mr. Booker T. Washington. And he taught us, cast down your buckets where you are. That's where you're going to find the fresh water. That's where you're going to find your wealth. So I'm just asking you all to just plan for next year to have a great hairstylist and fashion show. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that.
Nikki answer first, and I'll answer second.
Well, I just want to say thank you. Yes.
I'll say thank you. Yes, as well.
And thank you very much. But we do have another question, so he's gonna jump in.
Let me say goodbye to Miss Mohammed. We've been hearing your name and reading about you.
Miss Mohammed.
And thank you so much for all that you have done in Tulsa. I've been getting reports, virtual reports.
Okay, hold on one second.
Of what's going on, and we've been reading all of the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Oklahoma Tribune. We've been reading all about what you're doing, and we are so glad that you have an alternative to the commission and what they have done. And so thank you for your good work.
Thank you very much. Really.
Yeah, and I do want to just throw in there, it's like I'm actually the Global Education Director for the Black Beauty Expo. And so I will be partnering with its founder and seeing how we can collaborate with you. So
thank
definitely.
you all very much. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I see Weldon Bond on there now. Hello. Do we have one more question?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Your Honor, Mr. Jones. This is Timothy McClure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. I wanted to just say thank you, and I wanted to emphasize on what you guys were talking about as far as the hair industry. Something I just learned that I was real ignorant of is that when you're talking about the Africans, do you know that they help with the Kentucky Derby? And I know you know how big the Kentucky Derby and all the derbies are when it comes to fashion and hair, like you guys were talking about, and doing fashion and entertainment. But I just recently learned that they use Africans to actually get the Kentucky not only started, but they made them go to Europe and all over Europe promoting the Derby. And that's actually how the Kentucky Derby got started. And I was surprised to learn that. And that was just last week. So, just it seems like everything is coming full circle, and it's just an honor for me to be here. And that's all I wanted to share with you guys.
We're honored to have you. And every day I'm telling you something, including what you just said, I learned something new. People think we were just slaves and we just was picking cotton. Not true. We picked a lot of cotton, but we also invented things. There's a guy who was in Detroit whose name was Dr. Austin W. Curtis. He was George Washington Carver's assistant, and they used peanut oil and their expertise, even as Ms. Wright was telling me yesterday, to help Henry Ford organize his production line. There's been just huge numbers of geniuses in our community, but it's not in the history book. Just like the massacre wasn't in the history book. That's why I'm so proud of these young people like yourself who are bringing new information, new thought. I don't always agree with all y'all, but that's all right. I love you anyway, and hopefully you love me as well.
Likewise.
But the point is that we are an international brotherhood and sisterhood in every way you can imagine. And so it's up to us to do something about it. Right now, do you know in the top 30 cities in the US, there was a Black Wall Street? Whether it was burned down or removed by urban renewal or done by some other slick trickery, our people lost their land. Hilton Head Island was owned by Black people outright. And we were disenfranchised from our land. So when people compare our annual income, per capita income of about $53,000 a year versus the average white graduate, and I'm not against the white thing, I'm just giving it as a way to describe it, of 125,000, is because we were not allowed, we were cheated out of our intergenerational wealth. And the Bible says you want to leave money to your children and your grandchildren. That didn't happen for us. Right there where they are in Tulsa, can you look, in Southern California, this is my last comment, make you smile, and I never get finished with comments, but this is my last comment. Do you know that in Southern California, that there's a park which they had to give back to Black people because the descendants of a park that was taken from a Black family, they won this lawsuit, and the state of California's got to pay them, the inheritors, their children, $750 million down there by Redondo Beach. I'm a Californian sometimes, and so I know where I'm talking about.
I'm from San Diego.
Well, yeah, exactly. So as we go through this, there are efforts to reclaim what belongs to us.
Yeah.
Okay, but you got to fight for it, and you got to do it the way you do it. And so I take my hats off to those lawyers in Tulsa when they were throwing out $100,000 for the 3 survivors. They said, no, it's $1 million. When they were asked for their share, they were giving $2 million. They said, no, we want 50. I mean, if you can imagine the interest on, what is it, Ms. Wright? How many acres? 15 acres in a mule? Is that what it is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Imagine the compounded interest on that acreage and a mule. Imagine.
40.
40 acres.
40 acres.
Okay.
Who said that? Thank you.
Addie.
The historian.
Oh, you see, we got to have people like Miss Addie on the telephone to keep us straight. It's 40 acres. Imagine the interest compounded for 300 years. Imagine if you had $1 that you invested for 300 years and it compounded annually. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Mr.
Well, while you were speaking, I would just had the picture of, Tulsa. What if Tulsa had continued from where it was then till now, and how much wealth would be generated from that? And it makes it sad, and
That's right.
just that one little area, and multiplied out, like you were saying, if it were across the board.
Interest.
Yeah, exactly. And someone mentioned Willie Morrow, and I just have to throw out there that he is an absolute genius, and he owns the most patents of anyone in the beauty industry. So
Dr. Cheryl Morrow is
here. Okay, hi Cheryl Morrow.
How you doing?
Is Cheryl Morrow on the line?
Yes, sir.
Where are you?
I'm right here.
Put the spotlight on her if you can, please.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing fine. Let me tell you about this sister. This sister had a traveling show of the artifacts. They have more artifacts than anybody else in their museum. They got a radio station. They got a newspaper. Their daughter's a PhD. Their father is a genius. He was the one who created the first curl product before Jerry Redding. And he's a barber. And his daughter, Dr. Morrow, also is a working barber and cosmetologist every day. And she ain't 29 anymore. So, hello.
I just want to say to everybody that as retiring my dad, and we talk all the time, I am prepared to come down to Tulsa. Let's put some laboratories. Let's put some beauty schools where we can teach our own Afro cosmetology. We can create the shows and fashion and the things and incubators. I'm ready to go. I'm actually ready to, if we need to, the 400 years without a comb is at Kent University.
Is it?
But after it leaves Kent, it should be in Tulsa permanently.
Yeah.
My job is to get it out of San Diego or tour it, whatever the case may be, so the world can see that we did create economies.
Yeah.
And just a wonderful history fact dealing with our great Mr. Austin Curtis and George Washington Carver. When Mr. Ford asked Carver, what should he name his manufacturing facility? And George Washington Carver's answer was a plant. So that's why we have manufacturing plants. Just because of something so simple as Mr. Carver saying, "Oh, the name of the plant." So that is, it just goes to show you the enormous genius and the reason why I'm even on the call is Mr. Timothy invited me, and I'm just ready to go. I told my dad he's got 50 binders with about 4 formulations each in each binder, ready for us to reduplicate in terms of being able to just put all those formulas back into production. All the books that he didn't publish, let's just get them back in production and create the new Silicon Valley of Black innovation and design and all types of just new things. And I just wanted to say that I just changed over all of his Afro comb molds from 1964 to 1996 into hemp.
Tell them what a mold is. They don't know what a mold is.
Oh, the mold is actually what you actually create. The African brush, all of the original Afro combs from 1962 to 1964, all the ones from 1968. The only comb that has a utility patent, I made them all into hemp and bamboo and cannabis. So we have no more plastic and vinyl. So you can purchase all of these particular combs in hemp. And so I wanted to just make sure that all of these things I still have in, in the vault, and we can make it happen. So, and just trying to redesign all these books that he originally wrote so we can put them back into rotation. And so we can create a whole new commerce based on Afro-textured science. I am willing to do whatever I have to do my part, and going down the road. So thank you, Mr. Lafayette, for pausing with that fabulous loquacious nature of yours. And I appreciate everyone just ready to work, just ready to get down to business.
We love you. We love you.
Well, we love all of you. And I just want to thank you all again for being on the call this evening.
Thanks, Timothy.
Thank you. And for hanging in there with us. What we're going to do at this time is we're going to give you all the opportunity to meet one another, and to interact with one another in the breakout rooms. So we'll do that for a while, and we'll be moving Mr. Jones and Ms. Wright around from room to room so you get a chance to interact with them as well. So let's go ahead and do that.
Mr. Davies, you're gonna have to move me into room 2, please.
Okay.
Cursor is not allowing me. Can you do it?
Working on it.
Thank you. By the way, Mr. Davies can do anything technically. He's a technical genius. He had his challenges today, but he came through.